Good morning and welcome everybody to this morning's webinar. Firstly, I'd like to start with a big Happy New Year to everybody in attendance. Thanks for joining us today. We ran this particular webinar for the first time at the start of 2021, and I'm sure you can all broadly remember what was happening in the world at the time. The good thing is the feedback we got from that session and from those that attended was really positive. So myself, Rupert and Steve decided that we would run a similar session today, albeit in the context of 2022. So having done this before, I'm sure we're in for a very good session today. As I said, welcome to our webinar. My name is Matthew, and I'm the founder and director of Square Media. I'm going to introduce shortly our speakers for today, Rupert Turton of Action Coach and Steve Reese from Square Media. Just want to go through a little bit of housekeeping just before we get started. Just to let everybody know that there will be a Q&A format at the end of the session. That being said, if you've got any questions that arise throughout the session, please do use the Q&A box to put any questions in, and we'll get to those at the end of the webinar as well. The webinar itself will be around 1.5 hours, although experience tells me that it could run on or it could be slightly shorter than that. So just bear that in mind, but we are aiming to be done before 1 p.m. We've got a lot of subjects to cover, of course. We do plan to keep it as simple as possible, so please do sit back, relax, enjoy the webinar, but it will be highly effective and hopefully highly informative for you. At the end of the webinar, you will be sent copies of the presentations so that you can digest them at your own pace, and you'll also have an opportunity to book a consultation in with Steve and Rupert, individual one-to-ones after the session. So as I've mentioned, there's two main speakers today, Rupert Turton of Action Coach and Steve Reese, who's the commercial manager here at Square Media. I just wanted to briefly just introduce who I am as well. So my name is Matthew, as I mentioned at the start. I started Square Media as a one-man band consultant back in 2013. From a small desk in a cupboard under the stairs. So quite cliche in terms of you know, the startings and the beginnings of a business and my career as an entrepreneur. To date, we've grown to more than 16 staff strong, with a wide network of contract resource as well. We have been doubling the size of our business year on year, and almost certainly we will do the same this year. The beauty of our business is that we grow as our clients grow, clients and partners, and Action Coach are one of those partners. We work with our clients in a true sort of partnership capacity, so we really do try to work alongside our clients as an extension to their team, and we're proud of the way we work and how that results in a high level of client retention. The business itself has one clear vision: it's to offer all the benefits of an entire marketing team without the overheads and the hassle. So fairly straightforward explanation as to who we are. So we're your outsourced marketing team. We're a team of creative marketers, designers and programmers, and we really want to work with the businesses we're partnered with to help launch their business and their potential. We offer a wide range of retained marketing services. Some of those are listed on the screen there. If you want to have a look and find out more about who we are and what we do, please do visit our website, squaremedia.solutions. So I just want to quickly introduce Action Coach and why we partnered with Rupert and the team at Action Coach. We partnered with Action Coach in late 2020, so we're coming up on just over a year now of working closely together. We recognise that many of the businesses we work with need help with more than just marketing. And that was one of the main motivations behind striking up a partnership with Rupert Action Coach, because he could facilitate and help work with our clients to develop their business plans and develop their business itself. And we're obviously providing that marketing expertise alongside them. We also recognise that a lot of the business owners we work with, a change is often needed in their own mindset, and Rupert can really help challenge the business owner's perspective, and that can be really beneficial for their marketing. So Rupert heads up Action Coach in Oakham, Kettering, Corby and Market Harborough, I believe, Rupert. Rupert's joined us on the screen. So I'm going to pass over now to Rupert, who can go through his slides with you.
Cool. Thank you, Matthew. And actually, that last photo, it was, I think that's the last time I saw you wearing a jacket as well.
Yeah.
That's probably the only time I've seen you wearing a jacket when I think about it as well. So yes, cool. So good afternoon, or good morning rather, everybody. It's great to be with you today. Let me just start by sharing my screen. Yes. I just get you all to down at the bottom of your screen. You've got the thumbs up screen. Can you just give me a thumbs up, everybody, just to show me that you can see my screen now? Looking good. Excellent. And next to that thumbs up, you'll also, as Matthew just mentioned in his introduction, you'll see the Q&A box as well. So if you do have any comments during the session, and also I'll ask you a few questions as part of the presentation as well, please type into the Q&A box for response as we go through the session. So yeah, we've got roughly 20-25 minutes that I'm going to talk to you today, primarily about your business, what you're measuring in your business, what you're planning for in your business, and of course how that ties into growth. And then Steve will take over and talk to you a lot more about the Square Media process as well. So before I start, probably the sensible thing to do, those of you who don't know me, let me just talk a little bit about my why. So first of all, my business partner and also my wife, Angela, is we've been married a very long time, and we started Action Coach Oakham and Kettering just under 3 years ago now. She tells me she is the center of my life. Then there's my kids. My children are the two in the middle with their partners over dinner at the end of last year. They're both they're twins, 27 years old now, left home, doing very well for themselves. This is the real center of my life. This is Bruce. He's my dog and the newest member of our family. This is Ella, who's a 2-year-old rescue who we've had for about 3 months now. What I love to do in my spare time is walking and cycling, getting out and about and as far around the country as we can. I'm also very lucky that I've always enjoyed work as well. So my career has been pretty much 30, probably 35 years. That's terrifying to think about. In IT, but predominantly around IT management, working for everything from UK startups right through to people like Hewlett Packard and Microsoft. And then beyond that, of course, in my spare time, I want to spend time socializing with friends and people I know and family, and also travel very high on both mine and Angela's agenda for the coming years. So that's a little bit about me. Let me just start with a quick question for you all. So as by show of hands, just put your hands up if you saw an increase in revenue in 2021. Straight in there, Matthew, thank you. Who else saw an increase in revenue in their business in 2021? No, okay, quite very few of you actually popped your hands up. So, and those of you, regardless of whether you saw an increase in revenue, who had to change your business model last year? So how many of you, and if you can type into the Q&A box, just if you had to change your business model, and how did you have to change it? So it might be you had to introduce a new service or product to your product line. It might have been you changed the way that you deliver a service or an existing service or product. Or it might have been a change in the way that you took orders from your clients. So maybe if you've previously been premises-based, people came into your shop front, you had to move everything online. So who had to make changes in their business model in 2021? Okay, the first one. So Brexit affected how we delivered into Europe and meant we needed more resources. Yeah, I can understand that. and an obvious change into the way you run your business. Also, oh yeah, we've got one here. We had to move to online delivery, which would be an interesting change for any business as well. Oh, and then yes, and then more ordering through face to face than we have done historically. And okay, oh yes, and then temporarily switched to manual delivery of 5,400 magazines to Royal Mail. Temporarily switched from manual delivery to using Royal Mail. Massive change in the business there. Nobody wanted merchandise during most of 2021, but I had to change the way we worked. So more letterbox delivery. Also, Christmas parties were hell online, which increased revenue for me, and I had to source entertainers like magicians and comedians. Oh, okay, interesting change though. Oh, hold on, yeah. Excellent. So quite a few of you had to change your business models with everything that's going on, obviously around Brexit. COVID is obviously the thing that's taking the news at the moment as well. The question is, though, when you made the decisions to change in your business, to change your business models, did you have the information you needed to make that decision, or was it simply just done on gut feel? So when you introduced a new product, did you know it would increase your revenues, or were you just hoping it would increase your revenues? And there's really two parts to the answer to that as well. So first of all, did you have a financial model that allowed you to forecast the impact on your business of the changes and how that would impact obviously your revenue, your costs, and also your cash flow? And then secondly, having done that and made the changes, how did you confirm the results that your business was seeing from those changes moving forward? And the answer to that is really simple. It's test and measure. So testing, you're trying new things in the business, you're testing out new ideas. And then measure, you are measuring the results that you achieve. So in budgetary terms for your finances, your budget tells you what you're supposed to be doing, profit, spend, revenue. When you apply the actuals, that tells you how close you were to actually achieving those changes. But also, how many of you have got salespeople in your team? And do they have sales targets? And are they then held accountable for achieving those targets on sales? And you think how important that is, because your businesses are all going to be structured around the revenue that you have coming into the business. You're then going to build up your delivery capability to deliver that product or service to your clients. So if your sales don't materialize, you're going to have big problems with your cash flow inside the business. And then the important thing that sits under that is that it's very much that marketing, so the marketing of your business is then going to feed the sales activity. Marketing generates the leads, the sales team then convert that into sales for the business. And in many instances, many of you as business owners will be acting as both the marketing person and the sales person. So it will be your role to convert those leads into sales. But the point I'm trying to make is that the marketing in your business is the start of the sales process. So marketing has to be treated as an investment in your business. And then there's other things that you should be measuring as well. So within your business, you want to make sure that you are delivering the best possible services to your clients. So you need to be measuring things like the percentage of orders that you ship within 24 hours or whatever is appropriate for your product. You need to know how often you are shipping the wrong product to the clients, because obviously that has a cost to rectify it. You need to know what the failure rate of your product is in the field. So if you've got a product that you're making 10% gross margin on and you've got a 10% failure rate in the field, it basically means that for every 10 products you sell, you have to supply another product for the one that failed in the field, which is effectively negating any profit you're making on that product line. So actually understanding your failure rate can have a big impact on your bottom line. And then the one that everyone forgets, everything in the business may look rosy. You know, you're taking orders efficiently, you're answering the phone, you're shipping them within 24 hours. But actually, is your client happy with all that? Everything might look great in your business, but you may still have unhappy clients. So how are you measuring your client satisfaction? How do you know that your clients are happy in the business? My point behind all of this is by measuring everything that's happening in your business, you then get a much better view of what's actually happening. And once you understand that, you can save yourself thousands of pounds by being able to target the areas that are weak inside your business. So fundamentally, your business is built around what your business delivers, whether that's a product or service. That in turn is going to be driven by the finances of the business. So how much revenue do you need to make, what your costs need to be, what profit you need to see, things like that. But before all that, you've also got to think about what you want your business to be in the future. So some of you have probably got businesses that you've set up to simply support you and your family. Others of you will have ambitions to have a multi-million-pound business hiring hundreds of staff. What do you want your business to become in the next 5 years, the next 10 years? What's your longer-term view of where the business is going? Because if you understand that, it drives a lot of the decisions inside your business. And then the final part of this jigsaw is time management. So why is time management in there? Because if you're going to work on your business and get it to where you need it to be, you need to free up your time as the business owner, as the business leader, to make it working. So if you're already working 60 hours a week, you have to become more efficient somewhere down the line to allow you the time to actually focus on developing your business. Let me just take a quick aside for two minutes right now as well. I'd just like to talk you through the Action Coach 6 steps. Is relevant because it starts to build that picture as an illustration how you should be thinking about your business. So those things we've just mentioned, where your business is going, your time management, your financial management, and your destination management, we call those mastery. That is the basics of controlling your business, in effect eliminating any chaos. And then after that, you start to get into developing your market. So what differentiates you in the market? What marketing do you have in place? What's your sales process look like? The idea being that once you've developed your niche, you understand your position in the market and how you're going to market yourself, plus you have the ability to deliver it, you've now got a viable business. Then beyond that, once you've got a viable business, you can then start to make it more efficient. And you do that in really two ways. The first is leverage, which is putting the systems and tools and processes in place to make your business as efficient as possible. So basically, it's partly about efficiency and it's partly about consistent delivery to your customers. And then the second part is about team. So how are you hiring people, and then how you're leading your team, motivating them and encouraging them to work as effectively as possible. And once you've got those 4 layers sorted out, you've now got a business that effectively runs itself. You can start to remove yourself as the business owner and focus on developing the business more, starting new products, maybe opening new offices or starting new businesses, whatever you want to do. And then right at the top of the stack, this is when we get into the Alan Sugars and the Richard Bransons of this world, when you start to see the results. So you no longer have to work in your business. Other people run your business while you spend your time basically on holiday or whatever you really want to do. So just type into the Q&A box quickly, guys. Which of those areas is your business struggling with right now? Type into the Q&A, which of those areas of the 6 steps, whether that's mastery or niche, leverage, team, synergy or results, which area is your business struggling with right now? Interesting. Actually fairly even across the niche, mastery, team and leverage. So the pretty much across all levels of the business, which is interesting. And I have to say interesting, but not entirely unexpected either. Thanks for that, guys. So look, let's talk a little bit about the value picture quickly as well. So whatever your business is delivering, whatever your product is, whether that's a product itself or a service, basically the price is made up of 2 components. One of those is your expenses, the cost you have, the cost you incur in delivering that product to your customer base. The other part of that is profit. So how much money is left over from the price you charge for that product once you've taken away the costs. So basically it's your revenue minus your expenses. But the part of this jigsaw that everybody forgets about is inefficiency inside your business. And by inefficiency, that could be as simple as poor, what used to be referred to as time and motion in the way that people are performing the tasks in the business. It could be the need to rework product in the field. It could be things like wrong product being shipped and the costs incurred in replacing it, or it could be simply failures of the product in the field, warranty returns and repairs and things like that. All of which adds up to inefficiency in the business. Now, from your perspective, you're working as a business to reduce your costs as far as you can, and everything you can do to maximize your profit. What most business owners don't focus on is the inefficiencies inside their business, because if you can reduce the inefficiency, you get to maximize your profit. And that's really important for every business owner to know. So the question becomes, why would you want to systemize delivery inside your business? And as we go through this, guide, note down any areas you want to discuss afterwards. I'm quite happy to have a chat with you afterwards, a virtual coffee or even a face-to-face coffee, if it's appropriate, to talk through any areas of your business that you think are impacted by what I'm talking about today. So why would you systemize your delivery? So first of all, it allows you to increase the profits inside your business, makes you as efficient as possible. Secondly, it gives you consistent delivery for your customers. So if your customers know what they're going to get, they know they're going to get good service from you, and they know it's going to be consistent, they're more likely to return and buy from you again and again in the future. Then it removes rework, i.e. doing it wrong and then having to go back and do the same piece of work again, re-incurring the costs again, and potentially maybe excessive traveling and shipping costs on top of that as well. Systemizing your business also makes it much easier to train your staff. So if you need to put a new person in to perform a role, maybe because somebody's gone sick or is transferred to another role, the new person can come in and simply follow the process, which in turn means that you don't have to go out and hire staff who are able to do the complete role on day one. You can hire staff who have the potential to develop into the role, knowing that they can follow the process while they come up to speed as well, allowing you to hire cheaper staff, which you can then train up. It allows you to motivate them and lead them and help them develop inside the business, all of which will help with your motivation and leadership within the business. Of course, it's easier to see if the staff are doing things the way you want them to do it. And as I just mentioned, allows you to employ lower skilled people. And actually, the other really important thing in here as well is it means that everybody knows what they are expected to do in the business. They know how they are being measured inside the business. Bottom line behind all this is that it's the systems that run your business. You then hire the team to run those systems. Let me just let that sink in a second. The system, the tools, the processes, they are what runs your business. You then hire your team to run the systems. And if you want a great example of that, have a look at Amazon. Amazon are very process-based. They measure absolutely everything. They've got systems for absolutely everything. They then employ good people to run those systems for them, which allows them to do things so cost effectively. So what should be the performance indicators in your business? And the bottom line is that this will vary from business to business, what you need to measure. So actually, depending on your business, you may need to measure your production line. Other businesses may need to monitor their engineers in the field or the hours their consultants are working. So those KPIs are going to vary business to business. At the very top of your business, I would suggest these are the 5 things that every business should be measuring. And as an action coach, these are the things we get our clients looking at as soon as we can in the coaching journey. And you'll see on here that I've put a few things in red. So customers, revenue and profit, they're all marked up in red. And those are the things that most business owners know. They know how many customers they've got, they know what their revenue is, and they know what their profitability is. But the point about those numbers, those items in red, is that they in themselves are not the end result of other activities in your business. So the number of customers you've got is a function of the number of leads that your business generates, i.e. the marketing, multiplied by your conversion rate gives you the number of customers that you've got. Follow that through, the revenue you're seeing is actually a factor of the number of customers you've got multiplied by the number of times they buy from you, multiplied by the average sale value every time they purchase something from you. And then, of course, your profit is actually driven by your profit margins inside the business. Those are the things in any business you need to measure. So let me just put some numbers around that a second as well. So first of all, from your lead generation, you've got a marketing engine that's generating you 4,000 leads every year, of which your sales team convert 25% of those to actual customers, which means that you've got a customer base of 1,000 active customers in your business. So far, so good. And then what matters is actually how many times those customers buy from you. So the first thing you're going to look at is the number of transactions. So for this example, and to keep the math, continue to keep the math simple, I've said that each customer buys from you twice a year, and every time they buy from you, they spend £100 with your business. And that's, you're going to have some customers who buy from your business once and never seen again. You're going to have some customers who come back to you month after month, buy from you 10, 15 times a year. But on average, across your entire business, your customers are buying from you twice a year. And on average, they're spending £100. Some will spend £10, some will spend £1,000. But on average, the average sale inside your business is £100. And that means that you know that your revenue is going to be £200,000. 1,000 customers buying from you twice a year at £100 each, revenue of £200,000. And then to give you the money, the number that really matters to us as business owners, your profit margin is 25%, which means you've got £50,000 worth of profit. That's the money in your back pocket. So that's great. What I would say, though, is if you can then start to increase the performance in each of those areas. So if you can invest in marketing, increase the number of leads coming into your business by, I mean, for argument's sake, let's just say 10%, which might be a new marketing campaign, more effective marketing. Steve will talk to you about this in a couple of minutes' time. And you can increase your number of leads coming into the business by 10%. That gets you to 4,400 leads coming into your business. And then you work with your sales team to improve their performance, maybe a little bit of sales training or something like that. So you actually increase their performance by 10%. And realistically, that's probably a low estimate. There's probably actually a little bit of sales training usually makes an enormous difference to the conversion rate that you're seeing from your sales team. But that now gets you to a point where you haven't increased your number of customers by 10%, you've not increased it by 20%, you've actually got the cumulative effect going on. So you've increased the number of leads and then you improve the conversion rate on top of that. So actually your number of customers hasn't increased by 10% or 20%, it's increased by 21% just by making those two little changes. But then if you can do something to increase the number of transactions your customers do with you. So instead of them buying from you twice a year, they buy from you 2.2 times a year. And that might be something as simple as a loyalty card or a free gift next time they come back, or a discount, whatever it should be in your business. And you can increase the sales value each time they buy. Always the example I use, but McDonald's, you go in to buy a Big Mac. First thing they're going to ask you is, do you want fries with that? Then they're going to ask you if you want large. They're going to ask you if you want a drink with that. It's the upsell once they come in, all things that you need to buy. So what are you doing to increase the average sale value inside your business? So if you can increase both of those by 10% again, the cumulative effect is going to be that you've got a revenue of nearly £293,000 as a result of making those little increases across the business. So that's a 46% increase in your revenue just by making those little changes across the business. And then again, if you can reduce your costs underneath all that by a further 10% to get your profit margins up to 27.5%, actually that profit that you had of £50,000 has now become £80,000, a 62% increase in your profits just by making those little changes across the business. You don't go in to change a business, you don't go in and make one big change, you go in and make lots of little changes across the business that have a cumulative effect across the whole business. And actually, the really interesting thing with that £50,000 worth of profit that you're making today, if you continue to do this for 5 years, that £50,000 of profit will become £500,000 worth of profit in 5 years' time. So it's worth focusing on those little incremental changes across the business. So the bottom line is that you need to be in a position, you need to understand what's happening in your business, so you have the ability to make timely decisions using the right information. It then gives you an insight into the future and what the future might hold for your business before it smacks you in the face. And also it acts to, by defining the target, it's allowing your team to know what they have to deliver. It's giving them the common goals, the tools, and also common language to work to as well. And then finally, of course, it promotes accountability. If people know what they're meant to be achieving, it promotes accountability for them to make sure that they do achieve that now once they know those targets that they're aiming for. Sorry, a couple of things I wanted to mention on there. If you have a look at our website, there's we have a learning area. If you go into the learning area, there's a number of articles about KPIs and financial management and other things actually that'll be of interest to your business. Either follow that web address or quite simply type in Action Coach Oakham into your web browser and it will find us. The other thing you might want to do when you're implementing KPIs inside your business, there's a book by Patrick Thean called Execute Without Drama. It's available free. If you just simply type that into your search engine, you'll be able to download that. It's take about an hour and a half to read it. Lots of great tips about implementing KPIs across your business. So that's pretty much it. So while I wrap up, can I ask you just to type into the chat box the 3 things you will do in your business after today's session. So just type into the chat box 3 things that you'll do in your business after today's session. And let me just wrap this all up. What I would like to do quickly is just talk about the why business owners don't change, because there's an awful lot of change going on in the business environment at the moment, and it's changing on an almost weekly basis. And for many businesses, we've actually not had to change a deal with businesses on this scale for forever, basically. But there's really 3 factors that drive people's desire to change in their business. The first of those is actually how happy they are with the business. So their dissatisfaction with the business needs to be greater than their resistance to change, which on its own is unlikely to happen. How many people do you know who are constantly saying they're going to change their business, they're going to change job, and it just never happens? And one of the reasons for that is they don't have a clear vision of what their life could be in the future if they made those changes. So a little bit of action coach pseudo maths. Your dissatisfaction of where you are today with your vision of what the business could be in the future has to be greater than your resistance to change. Does that make sense? So your dissatisfaction with where you are today, and combine that with your vision of what you could be in the future, has to be greater than your resistance to change. But actually that has no value at all if you don't make the first steps towards that change. Quite simply, it's better the devil you know. And then of course you need someone to hold you accountable for making those changes. Right, I think we've got some comments coming in here. Yeah, so upselling, excellent. Yeah, upselling, absolutely important. We call that the magic matrix inside Action Coach. Working on the current clients I have to increase the revenue. And actually, yes, your current clients, of course, are your easiest marketplace. You are already in conversation with them, so they should be the ones it's easier to sell new product to. Oh, another one here. Yeah, be more targeted with the networking groups I attend. Absolutely. I've got yeah, I've got one here. I don't even know why I'm spending the money. Okay, let's take that. And then need to decide what to do next. That's an interesting feedback as well. So the bottom line is that you need to get your business. Let's get your business performing as you want it to. You need regular growth, get you to be able to enjoy the fruits of your success, and have a team in place that you can trust and be proud of. So that's everything that I really wanted to talk to you about today. Let me hand over to Steve. In summary, what we've talked about today is fundamentally, you need to know what's happening in your business. You need to be measuring the performance in your business. You need to be working to eliminate inefficiency, which will help with your profitability. By knowing what's happening in your business, you can identify those areas of inefficiency. By identifying those areas of inefficiency, you can increase your profitability. And of course, don't make one big change in one part of your business thinking that's going to be the magic bullet. You need to make little changes across your business in a controlled manner to get that incremental growth. So yeah, let's get your business performing as you want it to. Regular growth, give you the time to enjoy the fruits of your success, and have a team that you can be proud of. Thank you. I'm Rupert Turton. If anyone wants to catch me afterwards, please note down those details, the phone number, or catch me at my email address as well. Steve, over to you.
Thank you, Rupert. That was very interesting. Lots of things I can relate to there. Right, let me see if I get my slides up. I think that should be that. Everyone see that, Rupert?
Yeah, Steve, we're looking at your at the PowerPoint as opposed to the presentation slide.
How about that?
Still can't see your presentation slide.
Right, okay.
You're sharing the right screen, Steve. When you selected the, when you shared through Zoom, did you share the right screen or the right application? Go down to the bottom of the screen where it says share screen. Can you see that?
Oh, that.
The bottom of your screen, that's the one, perfect.
Right, okay, we're there. So thank you, Rupert. That's good.
Cheers.
And yes, so good afternoon, everyone. My name's Steve. I'm the commercial manager at Square Media, and basically I've spent a good part of my business life as a marketing consultant, 20 years now, and well, steadily increasing. It started really with an MBA qualification that I was paid to do by a former employer back in the end of it was about 1999 actually, at Henley Management College. It was very, very theoretical, very heavy on facts and text, and it wasn't entirely appropriate when I got out to the business world. Shortly after that, I got recruited as the UK rollout manager for LA Fitness. They just floated on the stock market with a fund of £15 million. And I had the task of rolling out 10 health clubs across the UK in the space of a year. So I'm going to relate a lot of what I talk about today in terms of marketing planning and how we systemized the marketing planning for that business, because I think most people can relate to gyms and membership at this time of year anyway. So you'll see some of that coming through, but the templates will be available later on for you to look at. I also, having done completed that job, actually bought and set up a health club of my own, which I ran for 6 years before selling it to a hotelier, which was an interesting experience. And then since then, really, well, part of that process, actually, the gym we bought was actually in administration. So the first year, by fully rebranding it, we managed to achieve 30% growth, which was quite something. And then since there, really, I've worked as a consultant, particularly within agencies. And that's been really interesting, working on the agency side for clients like I do today with Square Media. So going back to the MBA side of things, marketing can be very complicated, and there are lots of business models which get taught, and we can apply where the need arises. So models like SOSTAC and PESTLE for looking at economic situation analysis. 7 Ps is a more basic one. SWOT analysis, I think most of us at some point have applied a SWOT analysis to our business. And then ANSOP is an interesting model where appropriate to look at opportunities for strategic growth. But as I said, really what we're finding now is most clients post-lockdown what they really are looking for are more leads, more sales, and that will consequently improve their cash flow. So in a more simple approach, really what we look at is ultimately, what is your purpose? Why does your business exist? What services or products do you provide? And what problems ultimately do you solve, or what pain do you remove for your customer? Really what it comes down to is your USP, your unique selling point. What is it that gives you your competitive edge? And obviously that's an important thing to understand in marketing. Then look at the people, your audience. By that, to whom do you fulfill your purpose, and why do they buy from you and not your competition? Exactly who are they, and what are their needs? It's all important stuff to understand. And then that leads logically through to your plan. In other words, how are you going to reach your target audience with the right message through the right channel at the right time? How are you going to capture, nurture, and convert leads to sales? And then how will you retain clients and develop their lifetime value? And I think some of the models there that Rupert was showing to develop that, is really an important thing to consider. So really, in summary, cash from sales, it's like oxygen. You can't really live without it. Cash comes from your sales activity, but to make the sales, you need the leads initially. And then to generate the leads, you need to have the marketing working correctly. A lot of people we come across have set up and are running a business because it's something they were good at in their last job, or they got made redundant, or they decided just they wanted to be their own boss. And, I often have to congratulate them and say, well, you're not only in charge of that technical business that you know and understand, but you're now also in charge of your sales and marketing. So getting it right is important. And this is where we help a lot of our clients. So really going back to this, as I said, I got into marketing through my time with LA Fitness. And the approach that we took is that wherever you opened a new club in a new town, it was literally like the circus had arrived in that town. It was a big marketing drive. I had a very clear objective. Financially had been set to me. I had to get each club open, fully equipped and staffed with 2,000 members on a direct debit that would run on the first day. And basically that direct debit had to amount to about £75,000 to cover all the overheads. So it was a very, very driven business model, and that's what enabled the company to float on the stock market all that time ago. Very attractive to investors. So when I go back to that, let's now try and apply some of what we've talked about to the experience I faced, there. Basically, what was our purpose? Most people just wanted to look and feel better. Weight loss was a big driver. But really, when we drilled down to it, what people wanted to do was look better. It was a very much a vanity-driven thing. Some people obviously wanted to improve their health. That might be fitness, strength, flexibility. So we had to have appropriate marketing and programs to address that. And lots of people really just wanted somewhere to go. They wanted to meet other people. They wanted to enjoy themselves. And I'm sure, you'll know the social aspect of a lot of health clubs, very, very appealing. The really important thing in terms of our point of differentiation was that we wanted to provide, or we did provide, a fully featured club with swimming pools, gyms and everything for 30% less than our existing operators. And back then, David Lloyd and the Sporter were our main competition. So we had a very clear overall proposition, and we knew who we were looking for. So breaking that down a little bit further, we drilled into this and we understood that pretty much every town we went into, there were certain personas that we were going to attract. Office workers, they wanted to come in quick, early, fast workouts, studio classes, that sort of thing. And also it was important they had facilities to get showered and ready to go to work. Mums with kids, they wanted to come in, access the classes, the gym, the pool, and ideally the creche if there was one, and health and beauty salons and so on. Retired couples would make up our off-peak usage, and they were coming in looking for gyms, pools, saunas, that sort of thing, and generally a more social thing. And then students, of course, they were particularly keen on, lower cost membership, but also off-peak gym and fitness classes. So overall, we had our audience mapped out. We knew who we were actually after, and that was really important to us. The plan essentially was that we then had to pull out all the stops and market hard to an audience within a 20-minute drive time of each gym, because we knew that each town we were targeting had to have at least 20,000 households. And we knew that the UK penetration for health club membership at that time was 10%. So therefore, we could see that there was feasibility to get 2,000 members signed up. So again, applying some of these numbers, do matter in terms of market share and volume. So the marketing campaigns we put together included lots of elements. So we had, right from the get-go, we had a CRM database system. We used ACT back in those days. So we were building a database from which we could market. We obviously had a website with content and offers that was updated weekly. And that gave us a digital and a sort of inbound marketing strategy. The website critically had to be promoted for SEO and marketed through PPC. So search engine marketing is a very, very important part of what we did to actually achieve the visibility we need online. Leaflets were still a very good route to market. 30,000 leaflets went out on a routine basis to households, focusing down from broad brush down to sort of more targeted campaigns. So we allocated at least 30,000 leaflets per campaign as part of our outbound marketing. And then, of course, we ran adverts in the local press. We had banners around town. We had posters wherever we could put them, in rugby clubs and places like that. Direct mail played a big part. We sent out mailings to all the local companies promoting corporate membership. That was an important thing. And then we also had a telemarketing campaign that backed up all the marketing that had been going on above. So as those leads started to come in, we were perpetually then calling to try and get people down to the marketing suite to actually sign up. We also ran some awareness campaigns, events and promotions in the town, with giveaways and charity fundraising. We always invited the mayor to the grand opening. That was guaranteed press coverage and really good for our PR. And then what we also found, which we don't see so much these days for whatever reason, is text messaging. So those last minute squeeze outs of any campaign, sending out SMS campaigns to push last minute offers, was highly effective. And then, of course, towards the end, we were able then to encourage referrals from our database, and we gave out lots of branded goodies that then people would take off and use in their current gyms until this gym had opened. So basically, all of that targeted multi-channel activity contributed towards our integrated marketing plan. And that's sort of the core to this. Having a basic plan that addresses all these sort of areas and make sure that you're reaching the right audience at the right time is critical. So obviously, once you've got all that in place, there's a definite need for managing your marketing. And to do that, you've got to be able to measure activity and performance. So every marketing item had a code, every call was tracked, and every page view and download could be recorded. So we set that up with a basic dashboard so that we could view exactly what mattered and how each of those 10 gyms running simultaneously were all performing. So in that also we knew what didn't work, and that was really important to eliminate that from, say, future leaflet campaigns or advertising campaigns or change of designs. It was important to know what did not work as well as what worked. And from that, then, as the leads converted to sales, we could then start to get that key metrics, a bit like Rupert was explaining. We knew the cost per lead, the cost per show round, and the cost per sale. So if we needed to get another 100 members the following month, we basically just had to multiply the numbers. We knew what we would need to spend in terms of marketing. So that really meant that we had a clear understanding of our customer acquisition cost, and we also understood the proposed customer lifetime value. So in other words, what was it worth paying for to get that new customer into the business on a direct debit? So I think that's a key thing to take away. Invest your marketing spend on what you need, not just on a set budget, but obviously you've got to manage that within the capacity of your business to deliver. So the overall customer lifestyle marketing model that we look at here is very simple. Basically, it starts with obviously attracting the interest, capturing leads, and nurturing leads. And that's all the sort of front end cold prospect working of a business. Obviously, then a strategy to convert those leads to sales, to then onboard, deliver, wow, upsell, and generate referrals is more of the back end side of your overall lifecycle marketing plan. And all of these key things matter, having activity at each step and knowing exactly how you're performing. So to go on with that, what we've then done is produce this grid basically. So you can see the before, the during and the after stage in different color codes there, and the 9 different stages. So I'll go through these stages 3 at a time, starting with the before phase, which is really the prospecting side of things. So prospecting really is about understanding, your target market. Targeting everyone is always unwise, I think. Identify at least 3 audiences, maybe more, and focus on those. If possible, with your service offering, try to niche, try to be a big fish in a smaller pond rather than the other way around. And then if you're going to choose a niche to focus on, make sure there's depth in that market, so you've got plenty of capacity to grow your business. The most important thing about this is that as you focus on that niche and you become better in that key area, you become that specialist, and then price becomes less relevant when you're actually trying to push through that sale. So that's very important. Then it leads on to making sure that you're very clear on what your USP is and that you have a really good fit with your customer base. But then think it back and think, well, why should they definitely buy from me? And just double check that what your target market, the target market you're after is actually relevant. So moving on then, the messaging to your target market. So put your customers in a position to buy is something I always think is a good idea. Crafting a compelling message that engages with them, empathizes with their needs, and ultimately takes away their pain, offers a solution, and if it saves them time and money, that's obviously a big driver. But be very clear in your message as well and create high perceived value. That's one of the most important things. If you can de-risk your products and services by offering a guarantee or a warranty or some sort of backup, then that will also help in terms of a strategy for messaging to your market. Make your offer irresistible, I think is the key to all of this. So if you put together a proposition there that really does help, then you're in business. So next thing is to think about the media you're going to use to reach your target market. You've got to understand, how does your target market consume information? If you're looking at the older market, it might be adverts, it might be local publications. If it's a younger market, it might be more to do with social media. Websites and blogs obviously are a great area to hold all your company information and resources for your customer. And social media is a great way to reach and communicate to that audience and drive traffic back to your website. But don't discount things like local printed media. The Business Times and Business MK are fantastic publications and a great way to reach the B2B market. NN Pulse and MK Pulse are also great for the B2C market, which is great. You'll also have your own industry specific press, which will definitely be worth advertising in. And then also radio. Well, radio now is very diverse with lots of digital channels, but we've been doing a little bit of work with Revolution Radio in Northampton. They're quite interesting. It's a new channel that's opening up, and I think a great way to promote a business. Direct mail is still very, very good, particularly with everybody being swamped by digital media. I think direct mail, particularly lumpy mail that comes through the post, is always quite intriguing and gets an open. And then, of course, email campaigns, certainly one of the biggest things that we do, and it drives a lot of traffic back to us. Text and SMS, very good for last-minute promotions, last-minute offers, very effective thing to do, and I think definitely should be there. So understanding which media you need to use to reach your target market is a key component. So if we look at how we applied that, our target market, we identified those areas which I showed on the earlier slide. The message that we were trying to get out to that target market was very much dependent on the different audience, and it varied. And then, of course, the media that we used to reach that market, again, varied depending on the audience there. So hopefully you can see that this basic format was how we sort of started to map together a big plan to roll out, lots of gyms. So on to the next stage, the sort of during stage is critical. We talked earlier on about, having a database, Having a CRM platform, and these days there are some fantastic platforms that are cloud-based, enable you to put landing page forms on your website that can actually, capture customer information and also send out an automatic response. Really, really important. The value of your marketing ends up in your database. Utilizing a chat box on your website, again, a very popular way to get quick engagement with visitors. And then take the view that every contact has a value. So for all of those leads that you're adding into your CRM that you're building, and against the marketing spend, there's a value there. And as those leads develop and they become customers and you generate additional sales, the lifetime value will start to grow. But then also you'll get to understand that every sale has a life cycle, and depending on the service you're in, that life cycle between, say, making an inquiry and a sale going through could be very slow or it could be very quick. The repeat order that comes through could also be quite short, or it could be quite quick. So timing your marketing to try and address that is important. If you're selling cars, for example, you probably don't want to be marketing too hard to a new car sale, a new car owner, within a couple of years. So nurturing your leads, basically you're looking to take people here from being vaguely interested to actually wanting to do business with you, and that's a key thing to achieve. Education is very often key. People just simply don't know what they don't know. So the more you can do to bring a customer up to speed with the importance of your service, the better. Being consultative, I think, these days, and really understanding and offering solutions is a really important part of selling these days. I don't think people want to be just sold anything directly anymore. So offering things like downloadable guides that can build your credibility and offer up free information can be a really useful way to nurture that. And then, of course, bear in mind, you can invite prospects to subscribe to your newsletter if you're sending out regular newsletters, which would definitely be a good idea. Follow you on social media, whichever channel then is appropriate to you. It might be LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook. And also invite people to events and webinars. If you're attending a big exhibition, and some of those have started again, did last year anyway, and there'll be more this year, but invite them along to see you at your exhibition stand. A great way to build your relationship. And then, of course, your sales conversion strategy. Really understanding what people are buying is absolutely key to what you're selling. And if you've got all your marketing in place, you can then slowly build your list of your database list up through suspects, the people you know are roughly interested, prospects, people who you know their needs, hot prospects, people who've booked an appointment, or they've moved along, and then a customer who's actually bought something from you, right the way through to raving fans that will advocate your services and generate referrals. So in all of that sales process there, the key thing, I think, really is the benefits have got to outweigh the costs. In other words, you've got to create that value proposition, remove the risk, and as they get to know you, like, and trust you, that relationship will build in that during phase of your sales and marketing strategy. So again, what did we do? Well, we had Act running, we used Leadbox to capture information, we had a membership management system. We nurtured those leads with regular email newsletters, blog content on weight loss and fitness. We had a printed newsletter which used to mail out to all our members and prospects. We were using social media, limited as it was back then. And we also offered up free health and fitness checks into companies. So we were being as consultative as we possibly could be. And then as those leads came through, they were elevated from being suspects, prospects, hot prospects, and then through to members. So we had a clear plan, the strategy going right the way through our during phase, which is the sort of the lead capture, nurturing and sales phase. So the after phase, really, customer management is a key thing. Starting here, how do you actually look to deliver a world-class experience? You've got to be innovative to do this. You've got to engage emotions. You've got to look at ways of flattering clients. The way you onboard clients is really key. And having, for example, a really comprehensive welcome pack that really helps your customers get started in your organization. You congratulate them on their purchase. And then you use technology to further improve their experience. So that might be the use of a survey. But ultimately, you look to create a tribe of raving fans. Rupert mentioned this earlier on. I won't labour it, but lifetime value and how McDonald's basically do that. As I understand it, McDonald's barely make any money on the first burger they sell through. The real profits come through on everything else that they sell in. So again, the upsell, them saying, you know, would you like to go large, cross-selling, offering other items that people can buy, all of these things dramatically add to their profits. So potentially, if you look at your business and think, what could we upsell? What could we cross-sell? There's possibly a gold mine sitting there waiting to, you know, for you to take. And you might want to consider, to help that, looking at a retained service model, for example, rewarding loyalty, having a loyalty scheme, having a renewal policy where you renew and you reward renewals can be really useful. And then also not forgetting your lapsed customers, there might be ways to entice them back and encourage them to rejoin. It's an old adage, but it's many times easier to keep a customer than to find a new one. So, you know, working on all those areas to improve your lifetime value is critical. So then moving on then to referrals, key thing is ask for them, don't be afraid. Everyone has a network of friends, associates, work colleagues. You know, if you ask, then you normally get. Incentivize referrals, you know, offer gifts, offer vouchers, offer some means of encouraging people to think. So looking at that then, how do we do that at LA Fitness? Well, we had lots of items here: onboarding, new membership packs, towels, water bottles, meet the personal trainer, gym inductions, lots and lots of things to go with, follow-up phone calls to see how people were getting on. We upsold, tried to get people go from monthly to annual or 2-year memberships. We cross-sold into things like personal training, clothes retail, beauty, sunbeds. And then we had basically lots of retention activity to help identify low users or users who were dropping away and see if we could re-engage with them and increase. But one of the interesting things was there, just adjusting the profile of our classic member, by increasing the average by 5 years, added 6 months to every member that was 5 years older, you know, going forward. So that was an interesting strategy we adopted. And then, of course, asking for referrals, critical. Do them at the point of sale. We could offer guest passes for friends to come along. We had lots of little ideas there that would draw them in. But what could you do to incentivize a referral for your business? So really, in conclusion, you know, I would say look at marketing as an investment. Don't view it as a cost. Marketing obviously gives you leverage. If you improve your marketing, you know, you'll get a bigger result back. I think also to look at this, time is finite, money is infinite. You can always find money, but you can't find time. So in other words, if you can automate things, improve your systems, as Rupert was explaining, or delegate out work that you can't do or don't want to do, you know, you can use outsourced companies such as us for marketing, for accountancy, anything these days. Delegate what you can't. Marketing amplifies your communication and it increases your reach, and that's obviously key. Segment your customer database and try and niche your market. If you can get greater focus on that niche area of your market, you get seen as more of a specialist. If you can focus on a need that's, you know, an inch wide and a mile deep, then so much the better. So having that real focus on a niche is a really key thing to do. And as we said before, being a specialist makes you more valuable and it makes price irrelevant. So I've covered as much as I can there within the sort of half an hour that I had. There's an offer available if you'd like a free 30-minute marketing consultation to go through literally that business model there, the marketing plan, the one-page plan. You can book that in. We do several of those every month, and you can either scan to get that consultation on the right-hand side or take a note of my name, email, or number and give me a call. Matthew.
Thanks for that, Steve. That's really great. Thank you very much. Of course, at the end of the webinar today, there will be an opportunity to ask any questions. So feel free to stick those in the Q&A box just as we go through. What I'm just going to do, we've been joined by Jenny from the North Hampshire Chamber, Jenny Copeland. So I'm just going to share a slide at the moment. And Jenny, bear with me 2 seconds. I'm just going to promote yourself to a panelist. So you should be able to join in with us in a moment. Bear with me 2 seconds. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Matthew.
Hi, thanks for joining us. I've thrown up a slide on the screen there. Thank you. I know you've you're standing in for somebody else today, so thank you for doing that. If you wouldn't mind just talking through, obviously the Chamber have kindly chose to support us with today's webinar, so thank you for that. I wanted to offer you a few minutes to talk about the Chamber and the work you guys do.
Perfect, thank you. And thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to Matthew and Steve at Square Media, who are our Silver Chamber partners, and also Rupert from Action Coach. I think you'll all agree, a great informative webinar that they've just delivered. So just to give you a bit of an introduction, Northamptonshire Chamber is a non-for-profit organisation set up in 1917 to originally support the local shoe and boot industry. Our members currently employ around 1/3 of the entire county's workforce. So this is anything from a startup business right through to the large corporate businesses. So we have membership packages, which is from a startup business, we have an international trade memberships, we have our standard memberships, and also we then have our exclusive partners membership, so chamber partners. So we have our silver partners, our gold, and also our platinum partners. Through your membership, you do get various benefits, such as we do deliver training. So you can either come along to our training as a non-member. Obviously there is a higher fee for that, or as a member you do get a discounted rate. We deliver anything from social media right through to management development, and we can also do bespoke as well. We have a large international trade department within the chamber. They are able to deliver your documents. So they are your documents maybe that you're doing your customs declarations, or you want a little bit of advice. We can actually either give you the advice through our team, or in which case we can signpost you to one of our partners, which may well be the Department of International Trade, Synergy and Trade, anyone else. We do have great links within those people, also Minicorp as well. We also have a next generation chamber, and this is looking at young individuals aspiring to be our future leaders. It creates a great platform for those, and it comes with networking and also personal development sessions. So we do those on alternative months. And as I say, we look at young individuals aspiring to sort of be 18 to 35. As you can see, I fall well outside that one. We also have another network that we offer, which is called the Women with Vision. Now, this is offering mentoring and networking as well. Again, more information can be found on our website with that. But just to go into a bit more information with what you get with your chamber membership, you have a profile page. And this is where you can really sort of build your relationships, get people to know who you are, what you're about. You can pop on there your news stories, you can pop on their blogs, you can pop on their top tips. We will share your news stories through social media. So it's a great reach out to all the businesses as part of the chamber, for people to get who you are and what you're about. We also offer networking. So we do online networking and we do face-to-face networking. We do various, we do a business before hours, a business after hours, we do speed networking, and we also run exhibitions. And I will give you a little bit more information on that shortly with regards to our upcoming one. Another part of the membership is really what we call the business support side. This is where we can support your business. So with that, you get chamber HR, legal, health and safety and tax. So with your HR, you have over 750 downloadable documents that you have access to as a member, and you also have an unlimited advice line. It is an employer focused advice, so it's really looking at the employers. But that could be you want some advice on a grievance or anything along those lines. Also, you get legal. So you've also got legal advice, and again, that's unlimited for the business. So whether that's someone's maybe not paid you, you want some advice on how to take that forward, you can do that. You then get health and safety, and then you get chamber tax, and that all comes as part of the membership. We also have great links across our social media, so we can, you know, share on social media, and it's a great way of kind of supporting your businesses together with the networking, all about building relationships, working in line with other companies that are available on our members directory. And that's kind of us sort of in a quick bit of a nutshell. I just want to give you one little bit more of information. So tomorrow we will be announcing our next Northamptonshire exhibition. It will be on National Women's Day on the 8th of March. And as I say, it is for members to have stands there, and it will be on first come, first serve basis. But more information will be coming out on our social media and also at our website tomorrow. But we will also be running a business before hours, and non-members, you can come along to that as well. And again, as a non-member, we'd absolutely love to see you at the expo on the 8th of March. But if anyone would like to find out any more information about the chamber benefits or joining the chamber, you can either contact myself or you can go through the website. And as I say, I'm Jenny, I'm the membership manager. But thank you so much. Nice to see you all.
Thank you, Jenny. That's really, really great. Thank you very much for doing that. As Jenny mentioned, we're proud supporters of the local chamber, and we're silver partners of the chamber, and it's been a fantastic year working together in 2021. I'm looking forward to all of the things we're going to get up to together over the next year as well. So thank you very much, and thanks again for supporting today's event. It means an awful lot to us. So thank you very much, Jenny. Just to close really before we get into the Q&A section, which is the last little bit, which I'll invite our presenters back up so you can ask any questions you've got. Following on from today's session, we will be sending you a copy of the presentation and our 14-step downloads, which is the steps that Steve's gone through in terms of, you know, it's a more thorough process to reach a sort of one-page marketing plan. So we'll send those through to you so you can go through them. You can either go through them yourself or you can book a consultation with Steve and he'll quite happily go through those with you. You can also sign up to our newsletter on our website. And you can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, your chosen social media of choice. We'll follow up with the links to those as well so that you can follow those. As I mentioned, you can book a free marketing consultation in with Steve, and I believe Rupert offers free consultations as well, just so that you can have a little bit more of a one-to-one approach of today's session, to go through your individual issues within your own business and things you might want to discuss privately. And I believe Jenny would be more than happy as well to speak with you or perhaps meet with you if you're interested in joining the chamber. So our presenter contact details are up on the screen, and Rupert and Steve have joined. I don't know whether Jenny is able to rejoin us, but we'll crack on with any questions that anybody has put forward. Jenny, there is one I assume targeted at yourself for the chamber, so if I can just read that one out. So Jo said that when she was part of the chamber before, it was difficult to get anything published anywhere. Is that something that perhaps yourself could help with? And the other question she's got is that she's a member of the Bedfordshire Chamber, and she finds them very good and very supportive. But is there any discount for being a joint member with another chamber? Is that something that you could help clarify?
So just going on to the last question, Jo. So we run Northamptonshire and we run Milton Keynes Chamber. All other chambers are run autonomously. So although we are accredited by the British Chamber of Commerce, we are actually the only chamber that run two. So absolutely, we do discounts. If you are a member of Northamptonshire, you could have 75% discount for Milton Keynes. Unfortunately, with Bedfordshire Chamber, it would be a separate membership, and we all offer different things. So we would offer something quite different to Bedfordshire Chamber, and they would offer something to. So a lot of the cores are the same. So again, you know, your networking. We, as you know, Matthew, we partner up with Bedfordshire. We do an online network. We do what we call speed networking. But with regards to the publications, your news story, absolutely, you'd have your own personal login. You pop your news story on. It will be made live generally that day, if not the following day, dependent on the time. We push it out on social media. The publications, it's a bi-monthly magazine that we run, the In Business, absolutely, we'd love to get people in there. It's 250 words plus a photo. We can't 100% guarantee, because if every single member of ours suddenly decided in 1 month that they wanted a publication, we wouldn't have the space. But we will always try and either push you onto the next publication, or we will put it on the website. So absolutely, we would absolutely look to be able to get your publications out there. Any news you've got, we'd absolutely love to share it, you know, on our social media streams as well. I hope that sort of answers the question.
Thank you, Jenny. No, I think it does. Joe, of course, Jenny's contact details are up on the screen. So if you did want to reach out to Jenny directly, see what could be done for yourself, then I'd recommend you do that. Jenny's incredibly supportive and always very helpful whenever we need to speak with anybody at the chamber. So thank you, Jenny. I'm sure you can pick that up. So a question really for Rupert. You didn't really talk about managing staff. My team are all working from home at the moment, and I seem to spend my life fixing problems that we never had when we were all in the office. I think we can all identify with that one. Is that something you can help with?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, a fairly common problem at the moment as well. I mean, the bottom line is it's about communication, isn't it? So when you're all in the office, people overhear other conversations. So actually, even when you're talking to other members of staff, people will overhear those conversations, and it all serves to reinforce the messages from management down to the team as well. And if you're not careful, when we're working remotely as a manager, if you can very easily become invisible to your team. So you need to work harder on being visible and consistently getting your point across. So making sure everyone understands how their contribution fits into what the business is delivering, but also into their team as well. So they start to see that structure of how their team contributes to the bigger benefit of the wider business and how they fit into that. Make sure you've got things in place like regular team meetings and whatever appropriate to your business. That might be once a week, it might be every day. It rather depends on the business. And bear in mind that because that office-based communication isn't happening, you may need to have more slightly informal meetings than you would do normally. Then the other thing I used to do was have a theme of the week as well. So if there was a particular point I needed to hammer home to the team, I would just repeat it at every meeting I went to, every time I spoke to anybody, just hammer home that key message that I need everybody to pick up. And also, actually, the final point quickly is when you have a meeting with your team, allow time in that meeting for a bit of social chit chat going on as well, because people aren't meeting in the corridors and sitting at their desks having a chat. Give them the opportunity to talk in the meetings and have a bit more social time, or even just set up calls. I know a number of businesses that are literally setting up meetings literally to allow their staff to just have a chat with each other and building that into the working day as well. So hopefully a few things. I mean, obviously there's an awful lot around this. It's all about the leadership of your team, their management, and how you work with the team on each task in particular. In fact, actually just thinking about it, if you go to our website, as I said, actually, if you just Google Action Coach Oakham, go to our learning tab, you'll see in there that we've got some recordings. One I did last year, a webinar on leading teams remotely, which might be useful to you as well. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Rupert. Thank you. And I think it's we're 2 years on from COVID, and I can only speak for my own business and those that I speak with on a regular basis. This is still something that everybody's trying to work out, you know, the right ways of working. I think what's been quite challenging over the last year, I guess from my own business perspective, is the constantly changing environment that we find ourselves in. You know, only 6 months ago we had staff back in the office, and now we're all back to working remotely and having to readjust again. You know, you find yourself, you get to a point where you've got processes in place and things are running smoothly and you've got over the hurdles, and then things change again. And then it throws everything back up in the air. And I think that can be quite challenging to businesses of all sizes, really. So no, I think it's quite interesting, the point you raise and the advice you give on that front.
And don't forget, Matthew, I mean, for me, COVID is new to most people. Working remotely is new to an awful lot of people, but actually historically I've been running teams all over the world, so I am used to running teams that are in different locations, probably in different time zones as well. So it is very doable, but you do have to concentrate on what you're doing. You have to, let's say, I think you have to conscientiously think about what you need to do to lead the team. It's maybe not quite as accidental as it would be if you're all in the office.
Yeah. Thank you, Rupert. A question for Steve. How much should I spend on my marketing? Is there a rough rule of thumb or ratio that I should use?
I think there are, and most businesses will operate, you know, sales to payroll ratios, rents, cost per square foot. Everything has a ratio, and I think if you look at the Institute of Marketing, the guidance there is 7% basically of sales turnover. Now that, whether that excludes, you know, your sales team and so on, I think that probably does, because I think if you're looking to spend around about sort of 7, I would say more likely depending on the stage that your business is at. So if you're at an early stage, just launching your business and you're really trying to get some traction or rolling out a new product, you know, you might need to increase that spend to 30%. You know, it's whatever's required in the initial stages. But I think if you've got a mature business that's ticking along quite nicely and you want to maintain your presence and hold your level of sales, if you're spending less than sort of 3 to 4% on your marketing spend, you're probably going to be slipping backwards. So I would say aim for between 5 and 10% of your sales value.
Okay, thanks, Steve. I suppose it also depends on how well you market your business, doesn't it? Because if you're if you're in a position where your marketing activity is poor, you may find yourself needing to spend more than that to get similar results. So that's, I mean, you know, shameless plug from our side. That's where we work with businesses quite well to work out what actually works, what delivers results for their business and their individual circumstances. And I think you know, a large chunk of the clients that we speak to have tried a bit of everything, dabbled, and done a sort of scattergun approach with their marketing, and therefore the return on investment that they typically get from their marketing is poor. Yeah. So you know, when you're deciding on that percentage, you also need to decide how you're going to best use that percentage, because some businesses could get away with only spending a couple % of their annual turnover, and it could deliver fantastic results. And then I suppose the question always is, once you reach a point where you can prove return on investment, so you put £1 in, you get £10 back, how many pounds are you going to start putting in? Because if you know that for every £1 you put in, you're going to get £10 back, you're going to keep increasing the amount you're spending on marketing. And that's quite a difficult concept to get your head around. You know, business owners like to have certainty and like to have budgets to say, this is my marketing spend for the year. But actually, you might get a few months into the year and realize, whoa, we're actually losing money by not taking advantage of spending more. So I think that's quite an important point. You know, budgets, we all have to set them as business owners. We all have to know what we plan to spend. But regular reviews of those budgets and also your marketing plan and how it's delivering results for you might mean that you want to change that partway through the year. You might want to increase that figure as you go through the year. And I don't think you should restrict yourself because your budget says so on not spending more.
No, that's true. And I think also competition comes into play, because I've seen businesses where, you know, they've got competition, and so they have to advertise abnormally high amounts and get apt to just to dominate the market they're in. Yeah. And in some cases, I know with coffee shops, for example, they will literally buy up the competing coffee shops in the area and run some at a loss just to have that market share. So it's a difficult question to answer. It all depends on
it comes back to your point earlier about lifetime value as well, though, doesn't it, Steve? Because if you're going to acquire a customer, this is something that we as an exercise we go through with clients quite often, isn't it? You know, if you were going to buy a customer off the shelf, let's say it was that easy that you could put a price on a customer and say, right, okay, that customer, I'm willing to spend £200 to acquire that customer. That doesn't mean that customer is going to spend £200 with you in their first order. What that means is that you've acquired that lifetime value of that customer. So if it costs you £200 on day one to buy that customer, but you know that the average customer buys from you once a month and they spend £50 a month with you, actually after 4 months you've received a return on investment and that customer is now acquired. And we've seen that with some of the clients that we've taken on board in recent months and over the last couple of years. You know, they're willing to spend 200, 300 pounds to acquire a customer because they know that that customer is worth over a year £1,000 to them. And that's the importance here, and that's the subtle nuance in terms of when you're trying to establish you know, a budget. Lots of clients are quick to say, well, oh God, it's cost me £50 to acquire a customer that's only spent £30 with me in their first order. And you look at that and you think that's a £20 loss. Why would we spend money on that? Well, actually, you then go into the loyalty and the raving fans section of the marketing plan process, and you suddenly realize that 6 months down the line, that customer is actually spending money with you every single month, and you've achieved that return on investment. So something really important to think about, particularly when you're thinking about things like PPC and Google Ads and Bing Ads and things like that. More often than not, you are going to spend more money on a click than that customer has actually spent with you. Or it might be, you know, you might get 100 clicks on an ad, but actually only one of them converts into an active customer. And actually you might break even, or you might make a slight loss on that first order. But it's the long-term lifetime value that then starts to kick in, having acquired that customer in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to railroad and add on to your point there, but I think it's quite a pertinent point.
Well, it's a big open question, really.
Absolutely. And just one last one for Rupert. I work for a business and feel a lot of what you talked about would benefit us. However, I don't think my boss would attend a webinar. Will you work with me instead?
Possibly, probably the answer, actually. So we currently coach a couple of people in senior positions who aren't the business owner themselves. So yes, it's possible. I think the business owner needs to be brought in to coaching. Otherwise, we might just be wasting each other's time. So, I mean, from my perspective, I want to know that obviously what you're trying to do in the business, I believe you've got the potential to do it. I've got to be happy that you'll achieve that potential quicker if I'm coaching you. And of course, you know, if we're going to work together, it's got to be fun as well. So, you know, there's sort of 3 tests, and I would suggest anyone who's looking for a coach actually looks at those 3 things, you know, or something similar for themselves as well. So I think the answer is maybe. To be honest, I can't be more specific. Maybe the sensible thing to do is let's grab the details and have a chat at the end of the call.
Thank you. Thanks, Rupert. That's great. And last one for Steve. You mentioned leaflet drops. Is that still an effective form of marketing in today's digital age?
Absolutely. Again, because, you know, when you look at your audience and how they consume information, you know, you'll find there's markets, there's villages, there's towns, there's older populations that just don't spend their life on digital devices. And, you know, receiving stuff through the post, something that physical arrives through on the you know, through your letterbox, it's something that people keep hold of if it's useful. It's still very, very valid. And you know, we've had a client this year who probably spent individually more than anyone else as a client, largely on, you know, on print and distribution, because it was the most obvious route to market for them, despite the nature of what they were actually selling. So I think it's certainly not to be discounted. I think the other advantage as well is you'll probably remember 10 years ago, you know, you'd get home from work and your doormat would be literally covered in all sorts of leaflets and junk mail. You know, that's really not the case these days. So those people that still do a little bit of direct mail or leaflet drops, you know, they're probably going to get better visibility than they would have done. I think we've
almost come full circle with direct mail, where it's you know, it's now become a bit of a luxury to get something through the post, and people get quite excited about it now. Speaking as a 28-year-old myself, you know, it's not very often that I get letters in the post. So when I do, I do open them and I do read them. So I think it's quite it is quite interesting how the landscape has changed, and certainly we are. When we challenge clients to think about direct mail and whether it's worth something to them, and you know, we'll often get met with challenges around that, like, oh, who does that anymore? But actually printed media, printed publications and advertising, not just through letterbox leaflets and things like that, but also advertising through local publications, such as the Business Times, Business MK in Northamptonshire and Milton Keynes, and Pulse magazines. And I know Martin and Kerry are who run those publications are actually on the call today. If anybody wants their details, do drop over an email to myself or Steve.
I think just one other thing, Matt, I mentioned on that, which is obviously the options these days to convert somebody that's viewing a leaflet onto a digital customer by use of a QR code or augmented reality or anything of that nature. It's a tremendous way actually of driving traffic to a website, if that person is quite savvy. But these days with QR codes and all the scanning that we've had to do for COVID over the last few years, we're quite familiar now with QR codes. So it's also a great way to drive end traffic to your website or to digital end.
Yeah, it's thinking about the multi-channel, isn't it? Thinking about the fact that somebody who receives a leaflet through the door isn't just a printed media consumer, they're also a digital consumer as well. So a lot of the work we do when we do carry out printed campaigns is how can we incorporate digital into that campaign. And I think you're going to see more and more and more of that as the years go by, where printed media becomes interlinked with digital, like you mentioned, through augmented reality, through everybody knows what a QR code is now, thanks to COVID. They've been around for 10 plus years, as marketers have used them for a long time, but it's only really been the last 2 years that it's become sort of commonplace in our culture to scan a QR code, and now you don't even need a dedicated app for it. You can just open your camera on your phone, and that's how consumer behavior is changing, and people are embracing that sort of printed digital combination. Thanks guys. We've just ticked over 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna close the webinar for today. Thank you, Jenny, for attending, and once again the support of the Northamptonshire Chamber for helping us promote today's event. Thank you, Rupert, for joining us and for giving some insight on how Action Coach could help the businesses on today's call. And Steve, thank you also for your time and for presenting. My name's Matthew. I'm really glad people have turned up today, and it's been an informative session. Thank you for those that engaged and asked questions. I know we haven't answered all of the questions today, but do grab the details off the slide in front of you. We'll follow up with a follow-up email. If you've got any further questions, please reach out to Rupert, Jenny, or Steve directly. I'm sure they'll follow up with you without delay. So thank you very much for coming. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Take care.